This is Mission Qualfon, a monthly podcast that takes you inside the workings of our company, but not just the ins and outs of business. We look at the ideas and insights that make Qualfon truly unique. As a company, we are committed to being the best and making each person's life better. Join us as we get to know and learn from people from across the organization. What's their story? What have they learned? And how do they live out Qualfon's mission? Welcome to Mission Qualfon.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to the Mission Qualfon podcast. Welcome, Jeremy. How are you feeling? I know you weren't feeling great last time.
I am much better this week. Thank you. Yeah, I was a little under the weather over the last week or so. And, you know, I'm just coming to the realization that I'm getting older, Marisol. And as you get older, you know, there's things that
I love getting older. I know that's not the norm, but I am so much more confident every year I get older than who I was when I was younger.
Well, Howie Mandel has a great quote. He says, "It's shocking when you realize you're the same age as old people." And that's what I feel like.
You're not old. You're not old. Well, this week we have Mike Lee, one of our managing directors of our company, on the podcast. And I'm excited to get to him because I love talking to people in ops and hearing how we do what we do with our mission in this business.
So we are very excited to have with us today our managing director for CES operations, Mike Lee. Mike, thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, I'm very excited to join you guys for this podcast. I've listened to, I think, pretty much all of them, and very excited to be here. Thank you.
Well, thank you for being here. So we get to ask you the golden question that we ask everyone, and that is, how did you wind up here? Not just here at Qualfon, but doing what you do as a career. Kind of give us your backstory, how you got where you are today.
Yeah, it's a great question, and this is going to tell my age, but I've been in the industry for 32 years. I actually started off on the phones back in 1990, working for MCI. I grew up in the Midwest, and that was in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, that I started off on the phones. And I think MCI was really ahead of their years, you know, in our industry with Jeremy. I know your training, you know, background and, you know, how they train their agents, their supervisors, you know, their management. It was a great company to work for a few years, and really just worked my way up from there. I was a supervisor at MCI and actually transferred into the BPO industry in Omaha, Nebraska, where I went in and was really a account manager for the largest account that they had. And this was all back in the early 90s, like I had said. So, you know, worked from account management into operations, and then into general manager position, where I was responsible for both account management and operations. And really have held just a multitude of different positions, you know, throughout the 32-year career. Site director, senior vice president, as chief operating officer of the Philippines, where I started off with about 9,000 employees. And then when I left, we had about 13,000. And then, you know, from there, an individual that I had worked with prior in my career, who was really our lead recruiter for Qualfon, had reached out to me saying that, you know, we had an open position. And, you know, I wasn't looking at the time, but he told me, you know, about the company, about the mission. And really, the more and more individuals that I talked to, you know, within our company, and learning more about the mission, it just seemed like a fantastic fit. And, you know, like I said, the more and more individuals that I talked to, the more and more I got interested in the position. And here we are today. You know, started off as vice president with Qualfon, was promoted to senior vice president, and then was promoted into managing director. So it's been a great experience that I've had over the last 3 years now that I've been at Qualfon, and absolutely love everything, that we're about here.
Fantastic. So I've two follow-up questions because I could be wrong, but I believe you're the first person we've talked to on the podcast who had heard about the mission prior to being at the company. So I'd really like to delve into that a little more, like you how you heard about it and what you hear. And
Yep, it's absolutely a great question, Marisol. And it was in the interview process that I learned about the mission. Really didn't know a lot about Qualfon prior. And it was in the interviewing process. I remember to this day, Mike Jossi, our chief person officer, our interview. And, he said, he and I both had worked at, few large companies in the past. And he said, you're going to remember the mission, and every decision that we make, we bring the mission at the forefront of our mind in making those decisions on being the best and making each person's life better. So I actually learned about the mission just through the interview process. And I could tell the more and more individuals I talked to exactly how they put that at the forefront of the decisions that we make here.
so my follow-up second part to that question, Mike, is being in operations and working that mission. Like, how is that? I've never worked in operations with a mission. I've worked in operations without, and it's always been, client satisfaction, profit. The directions were very clear. I didn't have like a mission that I was held accountable to as well. What is that like, being in charge of an operations and having this whole other accountability standard that we're held to?
Yeah, and really, the mission in the two parts that we talk about there, both drive home from an operations. We want to be the best. We love competition. We love the champion challenger, aspect with our clients, where we are going to be the best. So we love, being able to look at the other companies that our clients work with and how we can be the best for them, and to make each person's life better. One of the things that we focus on, even with our agents, is their interactions with our clients' customers, on how we can make that interaction, that individual that we're talking to on the other line, to make their lives better on how we're handling that call. So really both aspects of our mission of being the best for our clients, and making each person's life better isn't just our own agents, but it's also the interactions that we have with our clients' customers as well.
Mike, as you know, Sarah Carpenter was a guest on the podcast, and she actually reports to you. And one of the things she mentioned was how much she appreciated your leadership and what she's learned from you. And one of the things that she talked about, and what I want to get your input on, is this idea of work-life balance, right? We're all working hard. We've all got a lot to do, but burnout is a real thing. I would just love to hear your thoughts on this work-life balance.
I've got such an amazing team. I've got directors that report up to me. I've got vice presidents. And there's a couple individuals that if we'd allow them, they'd work 15, 16 hours a day. And, as you mentioned, Jeremy, that leads to burnout. So one of the big focuses, the story with Sarah is, we had some meetings that came up. She had vacation that was planned for, weeks and weeks. And, she's like, well, I can cancel that vacation. I said, no, you're going to take that vacation. You've, had that on my calendar for weeks. And that's something that you need to take to be able to go and refresh, rejuvenate. We do have individuals that are just so passionate and dedicated to, what they're doing, that they will work all those hours. And there's two individuals specifically that I'm working on their whole work-life balance. And, that's making sure that they're taking time off, that they're closing their laptop if they're working from home, and having time with their family, having time away from work, because if they continue to work all of those hours, they're just not going to be as productive, when they are at work. So that is absolutely key for our senior leadership, our supervisors, to make sure we do have a true work-life balance. And that is one thing that, Qualfon really does focus on.
So I'm going to bring you back. I'm going to follow you up. And again, I'm fascinated from an operations standpoint, this idea of incorporating the mission into our operations. And is it a help? I'm assuming it's a help versus a hindrance and so on. But take me into the world of a operations leader here in Qualfon and why it's different than other companies that don't have a similar mission like ours, that as far as I know is unique to us.
It is very unique, Marisol. And I've worked for a few, large BPOs. They all had, a mission, but it's different. We live and breathe, this mission. It's always in front of us. And, the other thing that makes Qualfon different too, growing up in the Midwest, I had uncles that were pastors. My dad was a step-in, pastor whenever our pastor was out. Is part of our strides, that last S is spirituality. And having chapels in some of our sites, and being able to have that spirituality that is actually out there in the open, it was another thing that really drove me, to Qualfon and my family to Qualfon. So that's another thing that really, in a great way, in my personal opinion, sets us apart as well.
How do we hit the bottom line? How do we make our clients happy with our results? And how do we honor the mission? As a managing director, how do you filter all that through your operations?
Yeah,
easy question for you.
Yeah, it's an easy question, but how I was brought up through operations, through my 32-year career, was around the three legs of the stool, to make it such an easy sort of analogy here. And the three legs are client satisfaction, employee satisfaction, and shareholder satisfaction. But with all three of those stools, which we really have to manage very close, because one leg can't be longer than the other, and they all need to make sure that we have the attention to it. But with every decision we make with all three of those legs, we have that mission at the forefront of our mind of, is this going to make us the best? And will this make each person's life better on the decisions that we make with those three legs of the stool? So having that mission at the forefront of those decisions, we're still able to be the best. We're still able to have outstanding client satisfaction. It's why we do the You Matter with Mike surveys every 2 weeks around all of our employees to make each person's life better. And by doing those, we're going to have the shareholder satisfaction that will deliver to the bottom line as well.
I want to piggyback on that. So, Mike, I have a hard question for you based on what you just said.
I can't wait.
The buildup, the suspense it's so thick you could cut it with a knife. When do you know that you personally are successful at your job?
Bottom line, it's when my team's successful. I mean, I'm not going to be successful alone. It's the team that gets all the credit. If there's some hiccup in the road, if there's some bump that we hit, that's on me. But all the success is because of the team that I have around me. There's nothing I could do alone. It's the entire team that we have, that's working with us to accomplish the same goals that will ultimately be, the success of what we're doing.
So, Mike, we had last week, our last episode, Edward London on, who I believe was our first supervisor and as well as a supervisor in your area. And I think off mic, we were kind of talking about the different roles in an organization like this and the challenges and opportunities in each role. And something that I agree with you completely, that one of the hardest roles in the company is both our production agents as well as supervisors. So tell us about that. Tell us about the operational, your team, and how you put it all together so that everyone has all the tools they need to succeed.
So yeah, great question, Marisol. Edward did such a fantastic job last week, being the first supervisor, for that we had for the podcast. Our supervisors, I feel have the hardest job within our industry. They've got 15, 18 direct reports that they're expected to, motivate, know inside and out. And I really, truly believe that they have, the hardest job within our industry. The most important job that's out there are our agents. Without our agents, we wouldn't need, our supervisors, ops managers, our executive team. So really just the team that we have around us.
So Mike, you've been in the industry a long time. You have a lot of experience and you probably get asked the same amount of questions that we all get asked. And on this platform, what is some advice that you would give a new Qualfon employee, be it an agent or an executive, whomever joining the company? What's some advice you would give them?
Number one thing is get a mentor. None of us are important enough or too important to not have a mentor. An individual that you look up to, an individual that you want to be like. Mentors, can give us some amazing advice based off of their experience, based off of what's going on today, tomorrow, next week. So that would be one of the first things. Individuals that are starting off as an agent, if you want to move up with the company, let someone know, let your supervisor know, let your ops manager know, and find, someone that can help you get there. But the first part of that, if you want to move up in the company, is let somebody know so that they know that you have that ambition, that you want to be able to move up to that next level, depending on, where that is. And if you want to get into a site director, ops manager, get as much experience across all of the areas that you can. So as an agent, as a quality assurance representative, in training, really across the board. So that gives you that breadth of experience to be able to make decisions in those respective areas. So that would be the guidance that I would give.
Now, Mike, I have a really important question. I don't mean to put you on the spot, but you're a tall guy. You're 6'5", 6'6". You have basketball in your past. So I just have to ask you, tell us about your basketball experience, but then how has that helped you in your business life?
Yeah, Jeremy, I loved in one of the episodes, where you said that you lived, by Gonzaga. What a great basketball program there. But yeah, I'm 6'5", 6'6". I think I was 6'7" in college, and with all my travel, I think I've shrunk an inch or two in my career. So I mean that I played basketball for years and years, played football in high school, but just that competitiveness. I even played, after college, in tournaments. Just to be able to keep that competitiveness. But yeah, I love really that champion challenger, being number one. I don't think that competitiveness will ever go away, but yeah, it's a great time the year here. It's the fall with college football, basketball is going to be starting up here, but absolutely love that side of my personal life, as well. And that sort of keeps that work-life balance, in check for me. I'm a little older now, but I did continue to play basketball, up to a few years ago, and just absolutely love that. So yeah, thanks for asking, Jeremy.
Well, thank you. And Mike, thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate you taking the time to join us on the podcast.
It's purely my pleasure. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Mike. Well, that is episode 56 in the can. Is that right? 56.
56?
Yeah. So we've got 4 more in the season, right? My math is right.
Yeah. So the season is fast. The end of the season is fast approaching, and we have an interview with Alfonso Gonzalez Jr., who is the son of our founder, and I'm really looking forward to that interview coming up as well. I've been able to spend a lot of time with Alfonso Jr. He's a great guy, and really looking forward to that interview.
Yes, he will be taking us out of season 3. It's our last interview of season 3. He'll be episode 60, which I cannot believe. And that will close out the season for us. Well, thank you everyone for listening. If you'd like to learn more about our organization, you can check us out at qualfon.com. All our podcasts are on the website, as well as all the information about our wonderful company. Check us out and make sure to share, subscribe, and continue listening to the Mission Qualfon podcast. Thank you.
Thanks, Marisol. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Mission Qualfon. Remember, you can find us wherever you listen to podcasts. Please subscribe, and we'll see you next time on Mission Qualfon.